Blog Talk Radio.
Are you ready to take a bite out of the competition? Are you looking for ideas to make your business better? Welcome to the Core Business Show with Tim Jacquet,
sponsored by Apple Capital Group.
At the core of every successful business, you'll find people making a difference. And with each episode of the Core Business Show, we talk with those people, examine those ideas, and explore the strategies that make them special. Now, the host of the Core Business Show, Tim Jacquet.
Good morning and welcome to another edition of the Core Business Show. I'm Tim Jacquet, your host. Today I have the pleasure of having Danny Rossi. He's with the rock band ONE. He's the lead singer there. He's going to join in on the conversation in a moment. But if you care to go ahead and call in, you can call in at 347-324-3460 or pose your question in the chat room and we will read it on the air. Well, Danny, welcome to the program.
Hi, man. Thanks. How you doing?
Great. I appreciate you coming on. I guess to begin with, kind of tell us a story about yourself, how you got started, and how did you start the band ONE?
And I was a little kid, and my older cousin was like really into music. Mm-hmm. One day we were there, and we were all sitting around playing because we're little kids, and he popped on a Motley Crue uncensored video. It was like one of the first, like, I don't know if you've ever seen this, for anybody that's seen this, and anyways, I saw this Vince Neil in the back seat, in the back of the limo, when it had a hot tub with some hot blondes, and I was like, wow, cool, I'm going to be in a band. Like, I mean, I was sold, so that was about it, and from a young age. And as for the band, years ago, I met up with the guitar player, Chris Danforth. We hit it off, and we just met, and we hit it off, like, instantly. We, as we're talking, he tells me he's a guitar player, I'm the singer, cool, okay, let's try and put something together. And it took us a while, and then finally we, from cover bands and trying to feel out music, learning your own instrument, we ended up finding two guys and formed the band ONE. And that was always a work in progress up till even 2 years ago. We were releasing albums, but anytime things weren't going the way they should, we even replaced members. We replaced our drummer after the first album, bass player after the second album. And finally the lineup we got now is pretty solid, man. We're four guys, and what I call the best of friends as well. So, I mean, that's actually the utmost importance at the same time, getting along with each other.
Well, so tell us the story. I think you mentioned back in school. Were you in a musical group at school, or you just had a band outside of high school and college, or if you're in college?
Yeah, it was never in school. It was just actually meeting people, and you're like, oh, let's try something out. And try this. It was really more of that than anything else. It wasn't, let's have a little high school band kind of thing.
Okay.
It was actually meeting people outside of high school.
So how did you learn to play? I mean, you play a particular instrument, or you just sing?
I play rhythm guitar.
Okay.
After watching that Motley Crue uncensored video, like I said, I was kind of confused. Like, well, what do I do? Like, well, I want to be each one of these guys. It's really cool. So I took a liking to Nikki Sixx, and to this day, I'm still a big fan. And so I started playing bass, and I was like, okay, it's not my thing. So I actually traded in my bass for an acoustic guitar, and I started sitting down playing acoustic guitar and singing, and I really liked that a lot. And it just kept getting more and more serious. So I ended up singing and playing a little bit of rhythm guitar on the side, but being in the front and running around and singing is my thing, really.
Wow. So who influenced you besides Motley Crue?
Wow, I have so many influences, but as a singer, I'd say Steven Tyler, Aerosmith, John Bon Jovi as well, the whole band, Bon Jovi, Metallica, anything that was like basically high energy and musical influences, or even something as smooth as something like Frank Sinatra. You can just sit there and listen, and just like takes you away to another place. So
wow, Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
Tell us about your particular style of music. How you define your style as a musician and as a group? We are straight up rock, hard rock. I don't think there's any other sub-labels we need to put it in. But when people ask what we do, I guess we say we're like good old rock and roll you used to listen to and just like tap your foot to or bang your head to. We're that simple, but modern. Just a modern day version of a good old rock band that we grew up listening to. Okay. More in the sense of a heavy rock versus metal?
not quite metal, but you can hear some of the guitar riff influences from some of well, we'll call it the old metal before it became trash or heavy metal, I guess.
Okay. When you actually sit down and actually write your own music, how do you write that? Does it come to you during the daytime, or it comes in your head and the tune you just have to birth out, or how do you guys sit there and write your music?
It's actually mainly a combined effort between Chris, the guitar player, and I. We were an open forum. Any ideas are welcome because you never know. Sometimes the drum pass can complete the song or whatever, but it'll happen anytime. We've written songs at 6 in the morning, and we've written songs at it was all a matter of what you're feeling at that particular moment. I've had some weird driving home, like ready to go to bed at 6:30 a.m. and getting melodies in my head. So instead of going to bed, I'm picking up my guitar and I'm trying to figure out, what kind of music can we put around this melody? And then I'll get together with Chris, dude, look what I got, and he'll work on that. And he's like, oh wow, okay, I see where this is going, and he'll add on to it. So it's really a combined effort, like a team effort, really.
Wow. So in that collaboration between you two, one feed out of the other. Like, for example, you pick up one phrase from another and say, hey, we've come with this idea. Then he comes with his part, and you come with your part, and you all combine it together. And then when you sit down as a group, then it kind of evolves from that particular point?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's really that simple.
How is it to collaborate with people? Sometimes you have different energies. I guess being a band of brothers, sometimes you get mad at your brother. And how you guys resolve conflicts like that when it comes to a musical style? Hey, no, I think it should go this way. How do you resolve those type of issues?
We set egos aside.
Okay.
And because it's all in the end, it's what serves the song. And being 3 albums deep and about 10 or 11 tours deep, we've met a lot of people. And you know what the people like. You know what people are kind of expecting from you. So obviously, you always have you want to get that musical out. You want to really get what you were feeling out on paper or on your instrument, and you have to kind of make a consensus. And it's not about what you want, it's what serves the song at the end of the day, to make it as good as you possibly can. And working in lyrics and reworking guitar parts and guitar solos, I think it's a never-ending process. And we've been through, like I said, album recording 3 times. It really is a never-ending process. But eventually you have to step back. And that's a good producer also helps with that too, working on your album. Yeah, as long as you have somebody, behind that board saying, guys, do this, guys, do that, and always keep an open mind to it as well.
Okay. We look at, through history, great collaborators like, just take from the Beatles, just take John Lennon and Paul McCartney. They had that particular style and energy. And then from that particular style of energy, they came out with some great hits. And then all of a sudden, every songwriter comes to the point of having like a writer's block. Do you guys ever experience you can't, to save your life, pull a tune out of your head? You both have writer's block. How do you actually resolve that when that occurs?
I went on vacation before this. I swear to you, before this last album, we were working hard. We had gone on tour. We came back and we said, okay, time to take like a 6 to 8 month break, do a new album, and hit the road again. And for the life of me, I was not inspired to sit down and write anything, and not even come up with a riff to help with the songwriting. I had nothing. I had nothing to give. And I said, you know what? The past 3-4 years of my life have been really hectic with all the touring. So I said, forget it. I left. I went on vacation instead of writing songs. I took a week on the beach, and I was drinking every day, just relaxing, not getting stupid drunk, but just drinking a little bit. And I just took the most relaxing week of my life, came home, and the music just poured out. We were able to finish up the album and finish up the lyrics, and then what ended up becoming our latest release of Worlds Collide.
Do you think you see a lot of success with rock groups at the very beginning of their careers? They're young. They don't have as many distractions. Do you think because of that energy pours out at the very beginning and they pour everything that they have out, then as life hits them, then sometimes these things get harder because you have more things to distract you. I mean, you just don't have the total freedom like you had before. You can just escape and go somewhere with a family and other obligations. Do Do you think that over time makes a difference the way you write your music and how you actually come up with your songs?
I think it would absolutely have an effect on you. I mean, just everyday life has an effect on you. So I can imagine if it hits you young and you go, like, I mean, what do you write about? What can you possibly write about it at a certain point? Like, I mean, some people have tried it and some people have failed with the evolution. I mean, if you start off doing like maybe poppier type music because you're young and then you want to, oh, but you know what? Enough of that. And I want to try writing something serious. But all the core fans like, well, we don't want the serious. We want the fun songs that you guys were doing before. I mean, we've seen it. And you know, sometimes it's some of the best music you'll ever hear. The evolution, because it's maturity. But unfortunately, if you're labeled a certain way, then you're kind of like stuck. And it's really sad that it's come to that because you, as a songwriter, you really want to express yourself. And of course, you're going to change. And of course, you're not 17 anymore or mad and angry the way you were as a teenager. You become a man. You want to say different things. And that's the unfortunate side of music sometimes. But, you know, I guess if you truly believe in what you're doing, you just do it anyway.
Wow. So how do you keep that particular balance? Because if you look at certain groups that have all these hits at the very beginning, and the fans want to keep hearing the same songs over and over again, and they slowly will grow into the new stuff that you write. But how do you keep that particular balance when you go on tour? They're going to want to hear the same stuff over and over, and you're playing the same music day in and day out, and you're trying to reach this new market and produce your new songs.
You know, well, the way we do it is we test out a few songs on the road when let's say we've toured our latest album for a while. We end up writing something. We test it out. You see the reaction of the people. You ask them what they think. And I guess we're not playing stadiums, so it's a lot easier to ask people. But I think that's the only way. Just ask your fans what they think. Your fans are the ones who are going to buy the music anyway. So you might as well involve them as much as you can. This day and age, it's all about involving your fans in everything you do as much as possible.
Okay. We're going to come back in a moment, take a station break, and we'll go talk about how did you come up with the name ONE for your group. We'll be back in one moment. You listen to The Core Business Show.
You're listening to The Core Business Show, sponsored by Apple Capital Group. Apple Capital Group in Jacksonville, Florida, is a commercial lender that specializes in asset-based loans, equipment leasing and financing, invoice financing, commercial real estate loans, and asset-based financing in the U.S. and Canada. Apple Capital Group is a direct lender that lends on their private equity investment portfolio. 90% of most loans are decided within 2 hours, and vendor funding within 24 hours after documents are completed with a one-page application. No slow no's, just a quick decision and a fast yes. To get more information about lending from Apple Capital Group, call 866-611-7457. That's 866-611-7457 to speak with one of our loan specialists. Or visit us right now at applecapitalgroup.com. Welcome back to The Core. Once again, here's Tim Jacquet.
Again, we're back with Danny Rossi. How did you guys come up with the band name ONE?
Well, as we were sitting around trying to figure out a name for, at the time, we just kept calling it a project because we wanted to get serious. We were like, okay, we're a band. Yeah, okay, we all know how to play an instrument. Let's figure something out here. And it was all about, our idea was all about unity, being together and being on the same wavelength. And we thought of the idea of unity and then 4 guys being one. And we're like, well, it's simple enough. One. There you go, man. It didn't take much. Just 4 guys being one.
Wow. Are there any regional influences? You're in Montreal, Canada, that develop your particular style. Do you think we have regions that kind of set a particular style? For example, you're in North American region would have this, a Canadian would have this, U.S. would have this. Because if you go through the states have different sounds as you go throughout the country. The West Coast, the East Coast, the Midwest can be different from the South Rock. Are any of those styles actually define who you are as a rock band? Do you have a particular regional style?
Yeah, but I don't think we get influenced by Canadian music at all, though. Canadian music is from what's out there, is not, don't get me wrong, because I love Canadian music. So, but we are definitely more on the American front when it comes to music. and very open-mindedness about it all too. It's not like East Coast or West Coast or this or that. We'll listen to anything and almost everything to develop a new song. So sometimes you'll get a little Southern feel into a song. I'm like, that's great, man, because I love that Southern rock. And California example, that kind of what you would expect on the West Coast. And I think on this last album, one of the songs was kind of that feel. We just take whatever we can, but definitely more American than Canadian, our influences.
Also, when dealing with, you mentioned at the top of the hour regarding personal changes of the band, and when you form your particular band, how do you form the band? Do you make it like a legal entity, or it's like a club, and you guys come with your own directives, or how is that really done?
Well, in the beginning, it's obviously not as serious. You're just trying to work out the kinks. And eventually, yeah, it does have to become a little more serious. And every individual person has his responsibility to make sure he knows what he's doing on and off the stage. It's about everything. And do we try and keep it business? No. I mean, it's supposed to be fun, and I think that's what we love most about it, is that it's fun. If you do the business side on your own time, then when we're together on stage, it's all about fun and entertaining the people, giving back to the fans. And I think what a lot of people told us, that you can feel that. You can feel the fun that we're having on stage, so it makes the show that much better. And this is coming straight from fans all over the place. They're like, wow, you guys are having so much fun. Well, we are, because we're not faking it. This is what we love to do.
Wow. So when you're a group of, for example, 5 or 6 people?
We're 4.
4? Okay. And when you have 4 people, each has an equal vote, and then all of a sudden, when you have to replace a band member, it's just because of the majority rules, or how is that really done? I'm just trying to give advice to people that have bands and they don't know what to do, and it's just mutual consensus. Say, hey, no, this is not working out, like you mentioned in the past. So how does that process work? Majority rules?
Well, it depends. I mean, obviously, you all got to talk to each other, which is the most important thing. But you can't be like at the end of the day, it's like a company. You can't have 4 bosses. So you just try and figure out what you're going to do. Like for us, the workhorse in our band, and I give him credit every day, is Chris, the guitar player. He doesn't stop. He's always on it. So we completely trust him. We just let him go ahead. But when it comes to big decisions like a member change, yeah, we sit together and we say, look, this is what's going on. We need to change. We need to advance. Something's holding us back. Let's do it. And that's what we do. We pretty much vote on it, but it's we don't even argue, because we know it's always for the better of what we're doing and the advancement of what we're doing.
Well, great. So when you actually talking about making the decision to tour, how does that process work? Do you get a manager, and that manager says, hey, I have some dates lined up for you? How's that whole process of touring works? And how often do you tour?
We just try and stay on the road as long as we can and as much as we can. Managers, we're always open to the idea, but truthfully, no manager we've ever had has worked as hard as we do. So it's like useless for us unless we find someone who will work harder than we do. That's the first point. Other than that, it's when maybe 6 years ago when we started touring and we went out, and Chris, again, he had booked a handful of shows, and we went on I think a 5 or 6 week run of the East Coast. We made a lot of these contacts, and we still, to this day, still play a lot of these places because they're fun, they're great, and this is where our core fan base has been developed. And then after, you have to kind of trust people. You have to trust a booking agent, people who are going to work hard for you. Does it always work out? No. Are you always going to get along? No, because, like I said, we are very hard to keep up with. We are work, and a lot of people don't see that same thing, and a lot of people don't envision the same light at the end of the tunnel as we do. So it's hard, but you have to work past it, and you have to work even harder for it. And we've got some really great agents now, and we're going to see how it goes.
Okay. Last couple of questions when it comes to recording. How do you actually record? Do you go into a studio? And how long does it normally take for you to do one single project? You have 3 albums out there so far. How did you actually record those, and how long it took to record those?
The first album was I guess it was about a year-long studio session, a little bit at a time and going, learning. And it's your first studio album, and live and studio are very different. So you have to adapt what you do. It took me forever to figure out how to sing in studio. And live, I had no problem. It used to be a blast. I was like, wow, this is no fun. In studio, it's really, it's almost painful. I can't move. I can't bounce around. I can't entertain. Now I got to move my mouth properly and enunciate every single thing so it sounds good when it's recording. It's like, wow, it sucks. I couldn't believe how bad it was. But then second album, we changed our drummer and the flow of the music changed a little bit and recorded in a different place, another studio, and it was great. I actually really liked the second album experience, and that one took maybe about 3 months. Then this last one, we went to Uplift Studios in Montreal with former Slaves on Dope guitar player Kevin Jardine, producing our third album as well. And it took us about, I think, a month and a week to record the last album. It was like in and out. It was really quick.
Wow. It was really quick. So when you have like 2 songs, I think, rock songs of the 2009 Toronto Rock Magazine, say Today Will Last Forever. Tell us about that particular title and how that song came to be.
We were in Florida on one of our down days. We had no shows, and we just started jamming with an acoustic guitar. And I had just lost my grandmother. I tell everyone the truth out there. And it was very painful for me. My grandmother was the most important woman in my life ever. She was my grandmother and my best friend. And this woman made hot dogs and French fries taste good. You know what I mean? So
yeah, sure.
It's one of those special moments in your life. And when I lost her, I was bummed out. And I said, look, better way to honor this woman for the rest of my existence than with a song. And the emotions just poured out of me. We had the riff. Once we got home from tour, I sat out on my patio at about like 2 a.m. with an acoustic guitar, jamming on the riff a little bit, and the lyrics just poured out. And we never expected to release the song, and we didn't, but we won an award for it because I guess someone else felt the same emotion. Maybe we did. And a lot of people got it right away. They understood the song about not being about it's not like a chick song or I love you and I miss you baby kind of thing. It's very different in our eyes, and I wanted it to be different lyrically and melodically, and I wanted people to feel sometimes what I was feeling, not having her around anymore.
Wow, that's powerful. And in closing, what do you like to leave us with, and how you, as a band, would like to see yourself in the future?
We want to just rock out every night, and if it means opening up a stadium tour or an arena tour for some of our heroes who are back out on the road again, because all the rock bands we grew up are all out again. So I think it's fantastic. So if we're doing that and then eventually move up to being the headliner of a big stadium or arena tour, it would be a dream come true, what we've been working so hard all these years. Okay.
And if they want to go ahead and look at, see what you have in current tours that's down the road, you have a website they can go to and look at the tours and maybe look at merchandise or look at your CDs as well?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's onetheband.com. It's ONE1. You can go on there. It's under construction, I believe. You can still access most of the site, but you can go on there and we have a links section. So if you go in the links section, you have all the social media, the Facebook, the Twitter, and our YouTube channel with our professional videos, some behind the scenes stuff live. And also you have the links to buy the music as well.
Perfect. And just for the last thing, kind of mention your band members' names and what they play. And if you have any last comments, appreciate it.
Sure. We have Chris Staniforth is lead guitar and backup vocals. We've got Phil Hardy on bass, and we have Rudy Okinero on drums. Perfect. Well, Danny, thank you for joining the program this morning. We really appreciate your honesty and giving us an insight of the band ONE. Well, thank you very much for having me, dude. Okay. Thank you. Have a great one. Take care. You too. Bye. Again, this has been another production of the Core Business Show. Thank you for listening. You can download this
episode on iTunes or Blog Talk Radio. Everybody have a great day and take care. You're listening to The Core Business Show.
Thank you for listening to The Core Business Show with Tim Jacquet. For a free quote on equipment leasing and financing, visit our website, applecapitalgroup.com. That's applecapitalgroup.com. And fill out the information to receive your free quote. We hope you'll join us for our next episode. And remember, you can always get to the core via iTunes. You'll find all our previous episodes there. Thanks again for listening to The Core Business Show with Tim Jacquet.